Hi, if this is your first time seeing my video on YouTube, my name is Lasho Ladele, for short, Lasho. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like my videos, share with your friends. Today we'll be talking about the influence you are and the influence you have as a Christian woman, or maybe generally as a woman. But I'm being specific this time around as Christian women because we know that um, we can have bad influence and we can have good influence, and also we can also have bad influence disguised as being good influence. So that's why I'm being specific about being an influence as a Christian woman. When Jesus was to give the disciple a directive when he was leaving the earth and going back to heaven, what he said specifically was that go ye into the world and witness, tell people about me, win souls, bring people to the light, let them know that Jesus died for them, let them know that there's no more condemnation for them in Christ as long as they are in Christ. So this then means that the primary assignment for us as Christians, as children of God, is to win souls, to tell others about the goodness of God, to bring men to Christ, right? So now, like I said, I'm going to be specific. Christian women as an influence. I know that oftentimes we have categorized women who tend to come up and say that I did not mess up myself growing up as a lady or as a girl. I did not sleep around. I did not do this. I did not do that. We have, for one reason or the other, tried to make them feel like they are sounding holier than thou, or that them coming out to actually say that you can actually become something without sleeping around. We have in one way or the other tried to say, this one is trying to claim holier than thou. She's trying to claim overly righteous, or she's been overly righteous. When in the real sense, these are the kind of women that should actually speak up and tell the truth. When in the real sense, they are the kind of women we should embrace because they would have a great deal of influence. And because these ladies or these women do not want to be termed as being overly holy or being overly righteous or being holy holy like we usually call them, they not keep quiet when they have actually walked the walk of possibilities of becoming great people without necessarily sleeping around, without necessarily messing around with their bosses or people in authority that would have given them chances. They were women that stood their ground. They were young ladies that stood their ground, that I will not mess up myself. I will not mess myself up. And I will make sure that with the leading of God, I become a great person. But when people like this talk, we don't want to listen to them. We would rather listen to those women or those ladies who, I don't want to point fingers, right? Because the Bible says we shouldn't judge. But our intuition tells us that this woman coming up to show herself as an influencer, or coming up to show herself that she has a car, she has a house, our intuition tells us that they actually did sleep around before getting those things. But for reasons that we do not know, for reasons that I just cannot fathom, we have suddenly put them in that pedestal or in that position of authority and influence that we look up to them, even when we know that what they are doing to get all of those things that they have were actually wrong. So when we see young women, married or single, who are living, the good life, the life that the Bible has given us to live, has told us to live. Don't fornicate, don't commit adultery, don't mess yourself up around. Women who are actually in the best that they can, with the help of God, of course, trying to keep themselves holy, trying to keep their purity. When these women talk, we talk them down. And in the real sense, they're supposed to be the influence we are looking up to. It's supposed to be the influence in our lives. They are supposed to be the ones to influence the younger generation, to tell them that, see, you don't have to mess up yourself before you become great. You don't have to sleep with your boss before you get that position. You don't have to sleep with any man before you can actually have money. But we tend to turn those ones down and give volume to those that we know that obviously this is sleeping down with a man. We tend to give those ones volume and then we'll talk those ones down. And that's why I've come to you today to let you know that as a Christian woman or as a Christian lady, married or single, stand up and become that influence that you have been called into. Deborah in the Bible is an exceptional woman. She's a woman of authority, a woman of influence, a woman of power. She's a woman, but she stood her ground. And then she was seen as a warrior in the Bible. Deborah was a great influence. People come from every part of Israel to meet Deborah, to give verdicts about matters, to give our opinions about matters. But as a Christian woman now, because you don't want to be talked down, we tend to be quiet. And if we continue to be quiet, trust me, the younger ones coming after us, they will not have the right advice or the right counsel on what to do and what not to do. I am not ashamed to say it, and I will not be talked down to say it, that it is possible for you as a lady not to sleep around and still become a great person. It is very possible. We have had people who had walked the walk. I have walked the walk. I'm still working on the walk. Mommy Ibukun Awoshika, I call her Mommy Ibukun Awoshika because that's who she is. She's a great influence. Mommy Ibukun Awoshika would say that she did not sleep with any man to become great. Of course, there were advances towards her, but she did not sleep with them. She made a choice early enough. I can boldly say it as well that I did not sleep with any man to become who I am and who I'm still going to become. I laid down structures for myself. Oh, did I get any advances from other men? Of course I did. Married men, people in position. So let me give you a story. I've always loved to talk. I've always loved to talk, be it in church, outside church. I mean, it's no surprise that I decided to become an MC or that I'm a public speaker or a content creator. I've always loved to talk, to be honest. And I studied mass communication. So, you would naturally assume that I'm supposed to be in the media, to be a journalist or a newscaster or a presenter, a TV or radio presenter. But guess what? People who I thought could have been of help to get there were people who said, you have to be my girlfriend before we can do this for you. You have to sleep with me before we can do this for you. Let us date before we can do this for you. I remember a particular one. He knew that I had the talent. I can talk. He knew that I had the intellect. But the problem was, you have to date me, Lasho. And I cannot date you. I mean, I've always had this structure in my life. I had set this structure in my life that I cannot date who I will not marry. Before I go into a relationship, it is because I have seen that I can marry this person before I do it at all. So this particular person is a Muslim. I cannot marry a Muslim. I'm a Christian. I know what I want for my life. I cannot compromise when it comes to my faith. I cannot compromise my faith. So I remember him telling me that you have to date me if you want me to help you get this particular job. Submit your CV, submit your this, do that and do this. But if you really want us to, just let us date for once. I can't date you. I told him that. And he didn't like the response I gave. And that was how he stopped trying to help. I moved on. During my NYC, no, after my NYC, I worked as an intern at a radio station. I'm not going to mention the radio station, but if you're my friend, you probably know the radio station. So I worked there as an intern, and I was assigned to be in a studio to work with people in the studio. And I was learning. I enjoy learning. I enjoy the process of learning a lot. I was learning, and On several occasions, I would just try to pick up the microphone and just say something, try to produce myself and all of that. And, I had people in the studio liked what I was doing. They really enjoyed it. They're like, Lasho, you have a great talent and all of that. The the owner of the radio station that they worked in while I was doing one of those things, and I had no idea he was seeing what I was doing. He liked it. And he kept quiet and he was listening to what I was doing and watching, and then he liked it. Then he called me that you're good, you have talent. I like this, I like what you're doing. Come and see my office tomorrow. And I went to his office the next day. And then you saw the talent, but you wanted more than just the talent. Then he said, I know you're good and you're that you can speak well, you can direct, you're even producing your own radio show. That's beautiful. I like it. I like it. Shows that you've been learning since you started interning here. And I'm like, thank you, sir. But then he said, but to make it easy for me to help you so that you can work here, you have to be my girlfriend. And it felt like a dream. Like so as though I didn't hear what I heard clearly. Like, sir, say yes, you heard me. You have to be my girlfriend. You have to start dating me and all of that. And right there and then, I went on my knees in his office. I went straight on my knees and said, sir, I cannot do this. I was like, what do you mean? Tata, you're like a father to me. I said, no, he's not old enough to be my father. I said, if I'm your father, that's the more reason you should let me take care of you like a daughter. I'm like, sir. In my head, what was ringing was what Joseph said, how can I do this and sin against my God? I was like, sir, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't do this. He said, no, don't give me any response yet. Just go and think about it. Then I stood up and I went outside. I felt really bitter because I knew right there and then, that my chances of ever being employed in that radio station was gone. I mean, if it was someone else that is not the Oga Pata Pata in the radio station, I can say, okay, I can easily boycott. But the Oga Pata Pata, the owner of the radio station, I knew it was done. So I started avoiding him. And then that was how one day he just said, you've been avoiding me. Sir, I'm not avoiding you. Come to my office. So before I went to his office, he took me to the newsroom and introduced me to one of the brilliant minds in the newsroom who was a newscaster, and said, I need you to train this young lady. She's good. So teach her, train her, help her to see things better, brush her up, let her become a good radio presenter or newscaster. And I felt okay, good, thank God. I mean, this man has seen past just my body. He has now seen that I'm a talent that can actually be useful for his organization. After that talk, I started work. So I moved from the studio to the newsroom at that time, and I was learning, things. And again, he just called me to come to his office. Sent someone to come actually to come to his office, and then he said, "Did you see how I just took you from the studio to the newsroom?" He said, "This is my organization. This is what I can do. All you need to do is just say yes to what I'm asking for." And of course, saying yes to being his girlfriend means I was saying yes to sleeping with him. And I wasn't ready for that. I can't. I couldn't. Now I still cannot. To sleep with you to get a job, I didn't merit the job. I would not be able to give the glory to God if I had gotten the job because I slept with him. So I knew that my best bet was after my interning period, it's time to leave. There is possibility that you as a young lady, you're faced with a similar situation. And then you're thinking, how do I go about it? How do I go on? At that time, it might be difficult. But the honest truth is that it is possible. I said it earlier. A few of us have walked the walk. A few of us are still walking the walk of saying, no, my no is my no. I'm not going to mess myself up. I'm not going to sleep with you to get a position. I'm not going to sleep with you to get a job. I have a God that must receive all the glory at the end of everything. So because of that God, I cannot mess around. And eventually, as a lady, you're going to get married, except, of course, if you don't want to get married. But if you know you want to get married, why share that body that is meant for him with a random person because of a job or because of a position? Plus, if you get a job by sleeping with a man or somebody, you should know that to maintain and sustain that job, you have to continue sleeping with different men. You know why? Because your value was not what they saw. Your body was what they saw. And you let yourself give that body. So even when you have something to offer, even when you have a value to offer to their organization or to anything, they will never see it. Even when you have brilliant ideas, brilliant things to share with them, they will tell you to keep quiet. It is your body we have always had. It is your body we've always wanted. How about you earn the respect from them so that later, when they see you, they know what you stand for, and you will not even have to compromise at that time. I've had a few of people that ask me at that time and say, like, you're very stubborn. That's how you escape my hand. And I just love to say, I was never in your hand. I was never in your trap. I didn't escape. I said no. It might have bruised your ego, but I said no. And that was it. And that is why I'm saying that as a Christian woman, if you have walked this walk and you're still walking this walk, you cannot afford to keep quiet. We need to show to our younger generation, we need to show to the younger girls and ladies that are coming up that, see, it is possible for you to say no. It is possible for you to say, no, I will not mess around. No, I will not sleep with any man to get a job. No, I will not sleep with any man to get any money. No, because if we don't rise up to these responsibilities of becoming an influencer to them, they will be watching those young ladies and young girls who are sleeping around to get jobs, who are sleeping around to get cars, who are sleeping around to get money. As much as this is a counseling or an advice to the younger ladies, this is also a call to those of us, Christian women, who have said no in the face of sleep with me to get a job, who have said, no, I will not compromise. No, I cannot do this and sin against my God. If you know you've ever done that before, this is a call to you to rise up and become a voice